Hi, I am Dr. Sridhar Kalyanasundaram. In this quick video, I will tell you about pulse oximetry. In the COVID pandemic, one of the most commonly reported medical equipment in the lay people's domain is a pulse oximeter. Almost everyone has a pulse oximeter at home. Almost everyone has considered buying an oxygen concentrator at home as well. So I would like to tell you a few details about the pulse oximeter, how it works, and when you can use it. The pulse oximeter is a very important medical tool, and in the intensive care units it's very helpful to us. So it's very surprising that it was invented in the current form only in the 1970s. 1972, the year I was born, is when the pulse oximeter was invented in this current form by a Japanese duo. And the Japanese company had first launched it. It didn't take the patent, and then the American company started taking over in the late 1970s. The widespread use of the pulse oximeter in the medical field was only in the late 1980s. So right from the time I started doing clinical medicine, that is, I started medicine in 1989, and I started entering the units in 1992 onwards. I've seen pulse oximeters, but I don't exactly recall how frequently they were used till I joined my post-graduation in 1995 in JIPMER Pondicherry, when it was there in all the units. So by that time it had a clear-cut role in all units. So what exactly is a pulse oximeter and how does it work? So we know that the heart pumps blood. The blood carries oxygen, which is taken into the blood from the lungs to the rest of the body, and the body needs oxygen for its routine functioning. The oxygen is carried in the blood in hemoglobin, and the pulse oximeter is a way to detect how much of the hemoglobin is saturated with the oxygen. The way it picks it up is by having two light emitting LEDs and a photodiode on the other end, which detects the emitted light. So you know that red light is in the visible spectrum. It has a frequency of around 670-700 nanometer, and infrared light is beyond the red spectrum, the visible spectrum. It's around 960 nanometer wavelength. So these light emitting diodes emit these two wavelengths, and depending on how much of the oxygenated hemoglobin and deoxygenated hemoglobin is there in the blood, the ratio of absorption of the red and the infrared lights differs. So I find it easier to remember as OI. So oxygenated absorbs more of the infrared, and deoxygenated absorbs more of the red. This is not necessary to remember, but just for your interest. The labs have tested the proportion in relation to the amount of oxygen in the hemoglobin, and they have made an algorithm which is fed into microprocessors. So the pulse oximeter itself has a microprocessor built in, and when it gets this ratio from the peripheral blood, so normally the pulse oximeter probe is placed on a thin part through which the light can go through, usually the finger. In babies we can put it on the ear sometimes, and on the toes as well. You can put it in the wrist of babies as well. So depending on the size of the area. The other important fact to remember about pulse oximeter is that it picks up pulsatile flow. We know that we have hemoglobin in the venous blood as well, but the oxygen level in the venous blood is much different from that in the arterial blood. So venous blood has much lower because the tissue has already taken the oxygen. So it's very important to differentiate this oxygenated blood in the pulsatile flow of the arterial blood. So that's why when the perfusion in the peripheries is poor, if you have dehydration, if you are very cold, the circulation in the hands and feet are reduced, the hands feel cold for example, then the pulse oximeter will not be reading accurately. Same way you have movement artifacts as well. If you are thrashing about, it may not be sensitive enough to pick it up. You have new improvements in the technology. For example, we have a new monitor called Masimo, where you have signal extraction technology, and this may reduce the artifacts. You also have more medical advancement. The pulse waveform can be analyzed and give more information to the treating physician. Now I know that many phones and apps have the pulse oximeter, and small tools are coming in. So you have medical grade pulse oximeters and you have non-medical grade pulse oximeters. The hospitals always use medical grade. The sensitivity is going to be better. Their threshold for artifacts will be lower, so you will be filtering out the artifacts. The non-medical grade is acceptable for you to occasionally check your saturation, but you cannot make decisions based on just that. You may decide, suppose you're COVID positive and you're monitoring at home, you may decide that you need to check yourself in the hospital if it's dropping. So what exactly is a normal saturation? So 95 to 99 or 100% is what you expect in a healthy person. If you have some form of congestion in the chest, for example, or you have wheezing, you have asthma, you have allergy, then your saturation may drop, but usually not below 92%. So dropping below 92% is significant in a normal healthy child or adult. 92 to 95 is a alarm signal that you need to monitor. Sometimes a nebulization at home, if you're asthmatic, may help you to bring it up after that. If it doesn't bring up, you have to review in the hospital. If it goes below 90, you do need oxygen to be given to you. If you don't have a saturation maintained above 90 for a length of time, you may have side effects of the reduced oxygen. So just to summarize, pulse oximetry is a boon in modern medicine. It has made monitoring much easier, much safer to manage patients, because one of the main reasons we need intensive care is to support the oxygenation and the respiration. So this is a very important tool. It guides us in many other aspects of the patient's care as well. The heart rate is picked up from the pulsatile flow as well, so we get a reading of both the heart rate and the oxygen. In the current scenario of the COVID, it's a very important tool for the lay population if you can manage to have a pulse oximeter as well, but it's not essential. If you feel breathless, if you feel unwell, it's important to get yourself checked. I hope this information is useful. Please share.